All right, guys. So I'll start with just a little bit of an explanation, really. This talk, when I submitted it, I've got a full hour session on this. Right? And before I start properly, I've turned it into a Pecha Ketcha talk. And if you've not seen these before, it's basically a 20 by 20 format. So you have 20 slides for 20 seconds, and it makes you be concise. So when Data Minutes came along, I was kind of keen to explore the possibility of doing it. Now, I've done a few where I've recorded them and they work pretty well. I've never done it live, so this is my first time live. So you can see all my mistakes as they come in. Now, just before I start, I haven't started properly yet, all right, and you'll see when the sort of first slide comes on. Just a big thanks to William and Ben for organising this event. I know it takes quite a lot of effort to put these things together, come up with a schedule and keep everybody happy. So big thank you and a big well done for them for organising this. I've caught a couple of the earlier sessions and they were fabulous. So and I'll be catching up with the rest on YouTube. So, as I said, welcome to my talk, Building a Killer Fantasy Football Team with Power BI. Just before I start, a couple of things to point out. Right? Over on my website, gethinellis.com, you'll find a whole bunch of videos and stuff what I've written around this. But it's really important when I'm talking about football, I'm talking about soccer, and I'm talking about the English Premier League in particular. Right? If you're thinking about NFL, it's not that. And also, it's really important to point out that what I'm going to talk about here shouldn't be regarded as any sort of betting advice or gamble advice. Michael's question on should I sell Salah is absolutely fine. This is no way be interpreted as tips or betting tips, right? You're going to lose your money if that is the case. So without further ado, I'm just going to show you how you can use Power BI to build a successful team. Now, my name's Gethyn. I'm a MCT and data platform consultant. My blog and website is gethynellis.com. My email address is there, gethyn@gethynellis.com. Do send me an email if you've got anything, and feel free to reach out on Twitter or LinkedIn if you want to know a little bit more about me. Now, what I'm going to talk about, right, I'm going to talk about building a fantasy football team, right? So if you're new to Power BI or just curious what it's about, we're going to look at things like data sources, bringing data in, cleaning data, modeling it using perhaps a fact table, adding some measures and creating some visuals so we can then use that information and use that data to build an awesome team. Now, there's a story that goes here. I've got Berry Wand, right? Berry's fed up of having a terrible fantasy football team. She's not winning anything. She's not in contention at the end of the season. She feels a little bit like Mike Bassett here, picking her team on hunches and writing it down on the back of a fag packet. And it's not been very successful for her. So she's looking at another way. She's going to look at the Moneyball method. If you've ever seen the film Moneyball, it's all about building a successful baseball team based on data. And this has been embraced by certain Premier League football clubs. So, for example, Liverpool, who are owned by Fenway Sports, who own the Red Sox, they're embracing this Moneyball. Just the teams that are doing this. Kevin De Bruyne renegotiated his Man City contract. No agents. He used a team of data analysis to get himself a £400,000 a week contract by using the data to show his value to the team, show what he was delivering. His dad and a couple of data analysts sat down and negotiated that £83 million contract for him. So if you do play fantasy football, and I know a lot of you do, there's a fantasy football sequel league. Do join that, right? You can use your data skills to analyze that data. All right, and the FPL make that data available to you so you can use it. You can bring it into your favorite tool to do your analysis with. And I'm going to talk about Power BI here. Now, to win at fantasy football, Moneyball, they broke it down to get on base average. In fantasy football, you need to buy goals, assists and clean sheets. You're not buying players. You're not buying your favorite players. You're not buying your favorite team's players. All right. And there's some limits. You've got a £100 million budget. You've got to have 4 subs. You can only have 3 players from a given team. And you need to buy as many goals, assists, clean sheets and bonus points as you can. Right now, Berry, in her role and trying to build this fantasy football team, she's going to use Power BI. She's a DBA, old school DBA. She's been working with data for a very long time, and Power BI is new to her organization. So she's got Power BI desktop installed, and she knows she can prepare a model of data in Power BI and build those visualizations. So that's what we're going to look at, and that's what we're going to use for this. Now, with the FPL data, you can use that data. You can bring that into Power BI. You don't necessarily need to do a lot of modeling with it because it's quite well summarized in the first instance. But Power BI, it is more than this visualization tool. You can build this end-to-end analytical solution. So with that installed, you can use that data to build some cool visuals. Now, the FPL make this data available. They've got an API, and you can use that API to download it. Now, in my fuller talk, I show you how you can use PowerShell to bring down the data into CSV files and consume them. But there is a full-blown API that you can plug in to, and it works, it works pretty well. Now, variety of different data sources you can use in Power BI to connect to. You can connect to the API directly, and Michael was talking a little bit about API connections in his last bit, or you can just pull it down to CSV and consume the data from there. And obviously there's a plethora of other data sources. So if you've got your data in SQL Server or Synapse or anything like that, you will be able to bring that data into Power BI and then build a model from it. All right. Now it might be that you go around building a star schema with your fact table in the middle with all the sort of measurable information that players are delivering on, the goals, assists, and dimensions, and you could have the dimensions hanging off that. So the clubs, the teams, the fixtures, who they were playing, and so on. And you can build up a nice little star schema with this fantasy football data. Then from there, we can take that data, we can build some visuals. So the couple I've got on the screen there, I've got a scatter chart where I'm showing total points by club and expense, right? So price along the bottle, total points going up, and then you can see where the expensive players are and the ones that are delivering value and the ones that aren't. But it also helps you find players that aren't costing a lot but scoring a lot of points. All right. We can use some of the built-in AI tools in Power BI to run some analytics, right? Use the AI features in Power BI. And what this graphic is showing is the power of the crowd. If people are transferring players in, generally they do very well. All right, and then from there we can deploy that and we can share it. Now over on my website at gethynellis.com, we have got some of the models here that you can view and see. It's not quite live yet, but if you have a little search on there, you will find this data, and it does get updated pretty regularly. All right, and that's in a workspace that's been shared to the web. Now, this is where I would normally do a demo. I'm just going to click through that. Right, you can try this for yourselves, and I'm just going to spend a couple of minutes showing you what I've got set up here. See if you can do better than me. Join the SQL League. It is quite a lot of fun. Lot of point scoring and other things that go on there, and I'll show you how I'm doing in just a second. And if you let me know if you do anything different to me, and I'll come back to Michael's questions in just a second. But this season, from Berry's perspective, she's doing a bit better than she's been doing last year. I'll talk you through in a demo in just a second how she's not doing quite as well as she could have done, but there's still a way to go yet. And we've been using the data to make some good decisions. Like we did drop Ronaldo to be for Salah as captain way back in game week 7, and that worked out pretty well with Ronaldo scoring 26 points compared to Ronaldo's 1. There's a lot of this stuff on YouTube as well, so feel free to head on over to YouTube. Just Google Gethyn Ellis, you'll find a lot of this stuff. There's a league out there you can join, and I will take some questions too. So that is the 6 minutes and 40 minutes worth of Petcha Ketcha talk. What I'm going to do now, I'm just going to end the slideshow, and I'm just going to show you what I've got currently in my Power BI environment. So if I drop down here, and then I'm going to answer, just take my glasses off. I'm going to answer Michael's question, which was, should you drop Salah? If you've still got him, Michael, I think he's due back any time, so I would probably hold on to him. Now, if he's been sat there as a sub, I did drop him when he left to go to play in the African Nations Cup a few weeks ago, so I would definitely do that. I'm not sure how well this is displaying on here, so let me see if I can just jump into focus mode, and then I'll show you how this looks. And if I fold some of these away, you'll see it a little bit better as well. So this is my current team, right? And what the FPL do, they make some predictions using the data. Now they don't give you the algorithm for making this sort of estimated next game week points. This is my current team, and you can see in there I've got some players that are going to do well, like Maddison's going to get 7 points, and Bowen at West Ham is predicted to get 9.2. All right, this is what they were predicted to get last week, and it's not entirely accurate, but it's pretty accurate, so it can be quite useful. It's useful data that's only available through the API in fantasy football for making these decisions. You can see that Consa's very unlikely to play this week, so I'm going to sub him out, which is fantastic, right? And I'll show you my team in just a second. If I just click back here, so back in my report, this is my team. If I wanted to find some players, I've got a scatter chart. So if I'm just going to come across here, this is one I created. Where did I put it? Here it is. One I created earlier on. Next game value is the one I want. All right, now I can filter on some of these. So I know Consa's a defender, so I can look at defenders and I can get rid of those. And I can see there clubs across the top with the legend in there. They've got the various colours marking each one. If I hover that, it's saying Kieran Tierney of Arsenal is going to likely to score 9.5 points in the next game week, which starts this weekend. So in reality, what I would look to do here is to swap out and transfer using my transfer Kieran Tierney for my defender that's unlikely to play. That's going to add value into my team for that week. And then if we look at my predicted score, my estimated team score here, you can see my estimated points for the next week is 58. If I were to switch out Conser, who is currently a sub, and then I could switch out for a different defender who's likely to score less, maybe Davis of Spurs, I could end up boosting that score up to 60 plus, pushing on to 70, which would give me a reasonable score. Now, to win fantasy football overall, out of the 8 million people that play, you need to get to around about 2,500 points across the season. That's easier said than done. Now, I have got a progress here. You can see where I am. I'm currently on 1,196 points. I can't remember where Michael is. I know Michael plays in the same league as me. I think he's doing pretty well, and I think he's doing a bit better than me this year. But I'm doing better than years gone by where I've just picked it off hunches and haven't bothered with the data. I am doing better. I've made a few poor decisions and I got hit a little bit with COVID, getting some fixtures cancelled as well and games called off because of that. So it's cost me a little bit. But overall, I'm averaging 53 points per week. I need to be on 66. So I'm a little bit behind, but we're pushing on and moving forward. Last 3 weeks have been really bad. Yes, they have. They have. But that's it. That's my talk on building a killer fantasy football team in 6 minutes 40 seconds. Look at the data. There's other cool bits of data that you can use that are out there. I haven't got time to go into that today, but what the FPL make available, you can consume in Power BI. You can build some cool visuals and you can find those value players really quickly, so you can make and change your team without it taking up all of your week. I know some people where they actually lose quite a lot of time trying to pick their fantasy football team. So that's it from me. Any questions, feel free to leave them in the chat. Again, big thank you to the organisers and thank you for having me. Hope you've enjoyed it. And, well, any questions, let me know.